It was really interesting. Karoline Leavitt shocked the world and came out to a press briefing and didn't attack any reporters, was polite, was factual, was honest, and just kind of, and honestly went through how she thought that the National Guard shouldn't have been deployed, and that did exacerbate the situation worse, and that she knows Democrats don't want violence and they want law and order, and that she doesn't know why Trump keeps lying about that, and that she likes the Luke Beasley show. It was weird. I was like, wait, what? Me? Oh, thank you, Karoline. No. No, the opposite of all those things happened. Except she didn't explicitly say she didn't like the show. Before I show you some clips and her attacking a reporter, la-di-la-di-la, I just want y'all to know, ask and you shall receive. On yesterday's bonus show, we got this request, and I think that it will, so I think we will be scheduling more of those. Someone said, love your content, but I'm begging you to make a supercut of Karoline Leavitt saying President Trump. Ever since you pointed out, I can't unhear it. It is crazy. And we got it. By the way, bonus show, join button below to get access to that. So here is our quick Trump compilation.
President Trump, 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 Trump administration, President Trump, 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 President Trump.
Yeah. So, given
President Trump.
And now we have it on the soundboard. Beautiful. Given her job, maybe being able to say the name of the president would be good, but I like it. The Trump administration. Cool. Good with me. Speaking of chumps, here is this little exchange.
If there were peaceful protests on Saturday for the military parade, President Trump would allow that.
Of course the president supports peaceful protests. What a stupid question. Raquel.
Thank you so much.
What a stupid question. What a stupid question. Is it? Because Trump literally said this about his military parade on Saturday, which is not, it's not, do you hear me? It's not for his birthday. It just happens to be on his birthday. It's for the army. Okay? $100-something million. So that he can feel like he's Kim Jong-un. But this is why that reporter asked the question, is he saying he's going to clamp down on peaceful protests?
Celebrating big on Saturday. We're going to have a lot of, and if there's any protester wants to come out, they will be met with very big force. By the way, if for those people that want to protest, they're going to be met with very big force. And I haven't even heard about a protest, but, you know, this.
If there's any protest, he says, so you can say, oh, he's just not very precise in his speech. Obviously, he means, but usually we don't use the word protest for bad acts. That's usually rioting, right? Or looting, or whatever the act is. Violence. Protests almost necessarily sounds like you're talking about peaceful protests. And he says if there's any protest, they're going to be met hard with a response. So with that context in mind, look at just how bizarre this is.
If there were peaceful protests on Saturday for the military parade, President Trump would allow that.
Of course the president supports peaceful protests. What a stupid question. Raquel.
Thank you.
Well, then why wouldn't he specify? And if he's talking about people would met with force if they're law breaking, obviously, I mean, there's like a presidential military parade, of course. And I just want to say again, I've seen, we've covered it a lot, but just in case you come across the video, you missed the other coverage. We do a whole morning show. Look at the live tab on YouTube. It's great. We have a lot of fun. But I'm genuinely repulsed and disgusted by people choosing to exploit this moment when others are expressing very real, genuine, and peacefully doing so concerns about the Trump administration. The Trump administration. But people are exploiting that moment to chuck rocks that could kill somebody at a car going by, or, you know, destroying property or going to stores and taking stuff. That is disgusting for a few reasons. Because by itself, anyone getting harmed, I'm not happy with that, or the waste of money and stuff for property damage. But also, the more of those people, the more the American public sympathizes less with the message, even though you would want people to decipher between the peaceful protesters and people being crazy and bad. But still, we've seen this. The sentiment of Americans at large who are just observing and seeing, is Trump going overboard? Is he the authoritarian threat that people portray him to be, which he is? Or is he just responding because people are actually getting out of hand? That, the swing of the American public definitely relates to how many images they see of things on fire and things being chucked and our Waymos being hurt. So that does matter, and I want to keep saying it because some people seem to be a little bit confused about that. Bringing that up is not supporting Trump's whatever. It's just being very clear that we want the clearest, most concise anti-Trump message as possible. Here's more from the press briefing.
May, on just everything sort of we've seen so far with the president's response to the LA protests. There is criticism that seems to suggest that the president responded the way he did because it was a deliberate, calculated attempt to sort of shift focus away from his feud with Musk. How would you respond to that?
The president responded to the LA riots, condemning the violence
from Musk.
That's an incredibly disingenuous attack. The president saw images of Border Patrol and ICE agents being hailed with rocks and Molotov cocktails. He saw vehicles being burned to the ground with illegal aliens flying foreign flags, and that's what prompted the president to have this response that has clearly worked, because last night in Los Angeles, you didn't see many of those images. And I would add the governor and the mayor.
So, the funny thing is right now, from what I understand, it's still local authorities doing most of the stuff, handling the unrest. National Guard's there and posted out of federal buildings and stuff, but it's local authorities actually doing the things. Positive or negative, handling things well, in some cases, going overboard for sure, shooting rubber bullets at a press person, obviously, who is clearly a press person. Ridiculous. But either of those, if you're saying this, she's saying it's got handled really well, or if you're being critical, in both cases, those are just local authorities that we're mostly talking about. The imagery can further exacerbate of all these troops coming and everything, but they keep crediting Trump. But while they're doing it, they're kind of proving the point that local authorities can handle this because they're the ones actually handling it. And that connects to this next clip, which is Caitlin Collins asking, isn't it the case that you would have to invoke the Insurrection Act for the National Guard to go from just protecting property to actually arresting people? Local authorities, police can continue arresting people, and they are, to be clear. But for the National Guard to do that, wouldn't you have to invoke the Insurrection Act?
Caitlin.
Karoline, two questions for you.
Sure.
Over the weekend, Secretary Noem sent a memo to the Pentagon asking Secretary Hexed to have and direct the military that's on the ground in LA to arrest and detain what she said were lawbreakers. Is the president okay with that? And under what authority would the members of the military be able to arrest people inside the United States?
I can't speak for a letter that came from the Department of Homeland Security. I can't speak for the president and what's currently happening on the ground now.
You literally speak for the president. That's actually your job. I can't speak for the president. That's what you're standing there to do. That's funny.
And as you know, the president federalized the National Guard under U.S. Code 10, which he has the authority to do. And our United States Marines and the National Guardsmen and women who are on the ground right now are helping to create a peaceful environment for ICE and Border Patrol, who were being, again, hailed with rocks, who were being violently and viciously attacked. They needed reinforcements. And so our United States Marines who are on the ground are providing those reinforcements to ensure the environment is peaceful so that these raids and deportations can continue.
But he realizes they can't actually arrest people unless he invokes the Insurrection Act, which, I mean, seemingly was not something that was in Secretary Noem's memo, a clear distinction she did not make there.
Again, you're trying to conflate a letter that was sent to the Department of Homeland Security.
Yeah, so just completely and utterly unable to address the question. I don't speak for the president. Who do you speak for then? Press secretary? Spokeswoman for the president? Then back to the topic of Musk. Now that they're reconciling, yay, our boys are back together.
I love Tesla.
Yeah, does he love Tesla again? Is there any interest in still examining his government contracts? Can we have something?
And has the administration started a review of Musk's government contracts, something that the president said he's considering?
What do you mean by that?
What is her deal today? What do you mean by that? Let's see. And what's funny is she just repeats the question. Let's watch that from the beginning.
And has the administration started a review of Musk's government contracts, something that the president said he's considering?
What do you mean by that?
Has the administration started a review of the contracts that Musk and his companies currently have?
No efforts have been made on that front as far as I'm aware.
Okay.
She just verbatim reply with the same question. Did that help you understand it? Okay. By the way, as we continue through this, please do click the subscribe button if you appreciate this show. And then we'll end with this.
About Elon Musk, he issued an apology this morning. Has the president accepted the apology, or does he think it's too little too late?
The president acknowledged the statement that Elon put out this morning, and he is appreciative of it, and we are continuing to focus on the business of the American people.
This is what our politics also has devolved into, which is, does the president accept Elon's apology? Are you? And in that interview, that host kept asking, "Do you forgive him? Will you allow him back into your heart? Will you feel comfortable letting him into your safe places? Have you forgiven him enough for him to be allowed back into your secret zones? Your no-no squares. Is the trust back for you there? Do you accept his apology? What are we doing? Just kids feuding and they run the world. Ugh. That's where I'll leave it.